you're doing those longer, that those either it's the 10s, the 12s, or if you're doing a marathon, people go up to 22, so the 18, the 20, the 22, depending on what your schedule actually does. So this is where it all comes together. This is where we have to be really smart about our training. I talked about it on my live today about not trying to alter things. Trust the plan that you have, that you're on right now. You're not going to change anything at this point. So stick to it. Remember, slow progressions with all of your training is what it needs. So hopefully you guys have great training plans that are slowly progressing you through this. So trust that process and don't try to tempt fate by testing what you're going to do on race day too early. That has to be specifically in your training plan and mapped out accordingly to keep you safe and injury resilient.
Yeah, again, as we've said, and you guys hopefully have not experienced this, but don't try anything new on race day because it will backfire on you. It comes down to even trying a new shirt, anything, new socks, anything will backfire. So don't, make sure you don't make that mistake. Just stay with what you're doing right now.
And with and like I said, with your training, with your nutrition, practice, it's all
about the practice. Yeah.
And that's what all of your training is doing. All of those long runs are practicing for race day. But don't practice your race too early. Don't tempt fate by not trusting that slow running, that's building that aerobic energy system that you need to carry you through, is not fast enough. Remember, you have very race specific sections of your training plan that needs to be for that. So if that's mapped into your training program, stay with it, trust it. Because we know when we make training errors, that's the biggest thing that causes injuries. So
speaking of injuries, we want to make sure that we focus on another in our series here about mobility and ankles. So the next one, this is one that I've had trouble with.
A lot of you guys.
A lot of us, right?
Yeah, it's a huge problem because we know our feet are where everything starts. I mean, ankle mobility or lack thereof 100% affects every part of your running. It is running. We can never underestimate and never forget that it is a high impact sport. Whether you're running slow, fast, whatever you're doing, it is a high impact sport that is 2 to 3 times your body weight. Well, guess what absorbs that first? Your feet, your ankles. You don't have that right mobility in those ankles. That's the less amount of force your body's going to be able to absorb and transfer. So you're getting more load than you should. What happens? That starts with your plantar fascia. How many people have had plantar fasciitis? Then your Achilles. How many people have had Achilles tendinopathies? These are huge things for runners. And then we get to our calves, our knees, it can affect our hips. Just our feet, just that ankle complex can affect knees, hips, everything. So we cannot ignore one part of it. That's why we had a series of, the 4 main things that we deal with as runners deal with mobility. And it's not just for running, it's for your
for everything, quite frankly.
Strength, right? The daily activities that you do. So this is a boring work. This is the not fun work, it's you might consider it tedious, whatever it is, but super important to allow you to do the passion that you want. If you want to run those miles, if you're asking your body to do all that, if you are making it do all that, you can't ask it to absorb all of that force, absorb all of that, if you're not willing to give it what it needs, give it the strength it needs, give it the mobility it needs, give it that full range of motion it needs. You have to work on this. We lose this as we get older. You're going to lose that mobility if you are not actively trying to keep it and work on it. So
with that, we're going to get into today. We could ramble on a lot about this, but
yes.
Again, this is all good though, right? So this is why we love doing this. We're going to talk about the unsung hero, which is the power of your ankles. Because again, as Patty just said, that's the kinetic chain. If you have problems down there, everything else can lead to bad things happening. And our goal again here is to stay injury resilient. Right. So we're trying to focus on these things. So today we're going to talk about some stretching and some impacts different exercises were on the ankles just to increase that mobility and that strength, right? So as we say each week, this is not medical advice. We're doing research that we love to do, that we're doing ourselves. We're sharing with you guys because we are constantly evolving. So you are constantly evolving because, again, we are in a steady state of improvement because our bodies, life just happens, right? We're going to be adjusting all the time.
Yes.
So we are
We need to be
always
growing,
evolving and growing.
Improving, ideally.
Exactly.
Even if it's just incremental.
That's right. Some days you don't feel like it, you are improving, but you actually are, which is good. So recap of last week real quick. We did the hip mobility, which is another huge one. We gave you guys some exercises, front leg swings, lateral. The hip cars is a good one. The hurdle steps.
Like I said, these can be worked into your dynamic warm-ups. You can, like I said, we'll probably put a video together that is a short thing that hits all the points. Just so you can have, if you want to have, doing this a few minutes throughout the week, it doesn't take very long, is something that is going to make your running easier. It's going to make you more efficient. It's going to make your daily activities better. It's not the boring work that doesn't have any payoff. This has huge payoffs. It just doesn't seem like it when you're doing it because it's like, how can this be doing anything? Trust me, it does.
Yeah. And that's the big part, is it's easy to overlook those small incremental improvements. And this is why we show all these things, even though it seems boring, but the boring work is what gets you the big results,
that's
right?
Day in and day out. That's what allows you to be able to do that passion that you love. Remember, all of this allows you to do that. And if you respect it for what it is a true gift. And it is something that is, we all love it. We all do it. It gives us so many more benefits than just the exercise part of it. That's why we do it. That's why we grind out those miles. But this has to be part of it. So we can now, I made stupid errors for a long time. And I could have really wrecked myself. Luckily, I didn't. But we can still have those same passions. We can still do those things. We can still work hard if we just add in a little bit of this extra stuff, a few minutes, 7 times a week, and you'll be right where you need to be.
Yeah, exactly. So that was last week. And today we're going to talk about unlocking the power of your ankles for your running, because it's, again, as we've said a couple of times now, it's critical. So we got a couple of things. We went to the gym yesterday. We got some stuff figured out here. So the first one, just some ankle circles. You can even do this sitting at a desk, right? So Patty's standing up here, but it's not that hard to do. And it's amazing when you actually focus and do these things. I'm now doing this at my desk when I'm sitting all the time, trying to improve my ankle mobility because it is so important.
And you can, I'm doing this standing or whatever. So, cause I'm also working on my balance to do this too, but you can do this in a sitting position, with your calf. A lot of people do it, their foam roll after they foam roll their, calves. So you have a round foam roller. You put your calf on there, and then you can do these circles. Sitting on, like Steve said, doing that, you're going to do 10 in each direction, on both feet. But balance is always a big part of our thing. So some of this mobility work, a lot of times you can work on your balance too, with those leg swings and those other things. We need balance. It's a single leg. It's a single leg hops is basically what 1,000 of those is what running is. So we need a single leg stability. So that's why I did those standing. But you need to have stability. So if you need to hang on to something, if you need to sit, or if you need to be prone on the ground, you can do that too.
Yeah, exactly. So don't put yourself in a bad position. Another simple one that's easy to overlook is called heel walking. Right? Look at that. Yeah. It's a lot harder than you think, actually.
Now, I've told you, I've been working on. I have got tightness that this popped up. It's actually I've been dealing with this for a long time. The muscle that runs underneath my ankle, and this is actually really hard. Normally, I could do this a lot easier, but that movement and that outward movement is I can feel where my lack of mobility, and I've been really diligently working on that, and it's still a work in progress because it is just something that you have to work on consistently to work on that mobility. Like I said, if you're not doing it, you are losing it. As we get older, we lose this. This is a huge part of it.
So yeah, and we recommend 20 yards. That's what we try to do.
Just
That's
walk
what we
up
do.
10
Walk back, yeah.
You know,
Just use some common sense with something on that. You're gonna feel it. And this one as well, right? I have weaker ankles, or I've had weaker ankles. I'm still working on it. Again, we're constantly evolving and improving, or trying to improve.
Yeah.
And the toe walking and the heel walking are simple things you can do anytime you're in the house. Just go into the kitchen or go into the bedroom. Just start walking like this. Your spouse might think you're a little odd, but I'm sure they think you're odd by now anyway.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Hopefully you're not worried about that by now.
Exactly.
This also too helps with your calf strength. Having this mobility and having your calf strength, that is your, blood return back to your, back to your heart. So this is part circulation. It all together in ways that you wouldn't even think of, but it all benefits. It's all a benefit. So there's no, and like I said, it's not like trying to lift heavy and do all that. This does not take a lot of time. You can implement any of these into your daily routine very very easily.
Yeah, that's not difficult to do that.
So don't use those.
Exactly. So this one, you got to need a band for this one. You can also use a towel or a sheet, but we just have, again, those are so inexpensive online. But another one that's easy to kind of miss, but now you're working on your strength training for your calf and your ankle.
But you're going through that range of motion, too. So this strengthens up a little bit, and it also works on that mobility. So we always want to strengthen and do that. And you do 10 reps, each leg, but that really is part of, we know our ankle, having that mobility in our ankles is our push off phase. It's the power. It affects every part of your running performance. So it's worth doing these little bit of things that don't take a lot of time.
Yeah, and then, although Patty's got shoes on here, you can also do it without shoes, because that might be better. A lot of times I'll do this without shoes because it helps. I notice more of an impact on my feet if I do it without shoes. But
you can get more of that neuromuscular connection and actually really feeling that motion of it. That's another huge part of it too.
Yeah. Dorsiflexion. This one, again, you're going to need something. Now, we're at the gym. Obviously, we tied it around a pole there, but you can tie it around stability things in your house, a chair, a table, a bed, something or other. Something has some kind of weight. And just, again, pull your foot back. Again, now you're working on those muscles on the front side. What is that one called? The ones on your calf.
The tibialis anterior.
Yeah, that's interior.
That's that big muscle that runs on the side of your knee that goes all the way to the other side, crosses over your shins, and inserts in your ankle. So big, long muscle that no one thinks about, but that allows you to lift up your foot. That's its main function, is dorsiflexion. So you want to have a lot of people that have shin splits can be caused by a lot of things, but that is one thing, having that be weak. So not only will this work on your ankle mobility, but it will actually strengthen that tibialis anterior.
And then some heel raises here. You can do this. I was standing up like this. Balance if you don't support yourself. Patty's not there. She's just close to the wall, but she's just doing this. Easy to do this. And at the same time, you can do this on stairs, as we talked about before. Just obviously that you're going to want to hang on to something, but you're just trying to build that strength up in your ankles right there. And that's going to do it. It's shocking.
And it does. And like I said, it works your calf muscles too. Technically, you should be able to do these on each side for the true and rising up as far as you can. Like I said, I've got some limited mobility that I've been working on because of that band. I notice all these movements. I feel all these movements of what my ankle is doing because of that tightness that I have on one side. It's literally affecting every movement that I do with these. And I have been working on this. So like I said, work on this, do all this stuff before something happens. This is the key. This is the mobility you need. And you don't realize it till you lose it. So that's what we are just trying to get you to, make sure that you're implementing some of these things into your weekly routines.
Yeah. Now here's the one that you can kind of do it on the stairs. We have the gym, so we use some weights just to show you some variety. Stairs are the easiest, but if you don't have stairs, you can do something like this with just some weights.
So this is eccentric. We know that puts more. That's the eccentric thing requires more muscle recruitment. It's going to be more of an impact or whatever. When you do the heel drop with it, you're getting that full range of motion all the way up and then dropping it all the way down. You do have to be on a raised surface. Like I said, stairs, a curb, something that's elevated. You can, those step boxes too, anything like that, anything where you can be raised up and go up into full, all the way up, on your toes, and then drop that heel down as far as you can. This is another thing where my range of motion is like, I feel it doing all of these things. But these are just a few. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. Pick some ones, 3 or 4, add these in. Some of these can be part of your dynamic warm-up. Remember, you have to be doing a dynamic warm-up before your runs. You have to. It's just like strength training. You can't run without doing that. And it is something that a lot of us, and I did for years, did not do that. Literally would sit in the car, drive to the trail, get out and start running. Do not, please tell me none of you guys are doing that. That warm-up is going to allow the first couple miles not to suck. It is absolutely worth it. So if you're looking at this going, now I got to work in mobility work, I got to work in this, work it into something you're already doing. After your leg workout work, this is something you can do when you are in between sets. It's not something this is not a power movement. This is not a compound movement. This is just mobility work. Do that during your rest things. Find a time to work this in throughout your day, however it is, a few minutes, but that is going to translate into, remember, your feet are absorbing that 2 to 3 times your body weight. If you don't have this flexibility or this mobility in this, that's a more force that's going to be put, it's not going to translate as efficiently as it should. So that's a more impact that you're going to be feeling, and it just increases your risk of getting injured. And that's what we want to prevent.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last one here is just the forward lunge, right? Just a small movement back and forth to try to stretch out that ankle. And again, if you've got tight ankles, if you've got tight ankles, this will help. These little small movements will do. It's also going to stretch out your hip flexor too, as we talked about last week. So this is a double. You get 2 benefits out of this one.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it can definitely be part of your dynamic warm up. It warms up the hips and warms up the ankles. So
yeah. So again, very straight, very small movement, just a little bit forward and back. But see, her toes stay on the ground there, so she's really stretching the front part of her ankle right there, and that's why I zoomed in right there a little bit. So yeah, very small movement, very straightforward. This does not take long. This does not take that long to do all these things.
And
you can
like
incorporate
you're doing
these
like 10 reps each side. You're not having to do. We're not talking 3 sets of 20 reps. It's not few minutes. Figure out where you can put that into, like I said, your dynamic warm up. If you can implement some of these into there, then you're doing it, because you better be doing your dynamic warm up. So remember, we want to keep our passion. We want to be able to keep running. We want to keep being able to do that, but we have to respect how much impact that is on our body. And we are not in our 20s. We don't bounce. We don't bounce back like we did.
Sadly.
But that does not mean we can't do all this stuff. It doesn't mean we can't train, do races, do all that stuff. We just have to be mindful. We have to do that extra boring type work that's just going to keep everything moving well. And it's going to translate to more efficient running, better running, easier running, and like I said, your daily functions, which I'm going to be doing a ton of gardening. I did a ton of gardening yesterday, a lot of gardening today, a lot of lower, a lot of squatting, a lot of my ankles being, all of this stuff translates into whether you're lifting, whether you're squatting, whether you're gardening, whether you're doing this, all translates into your life. So worth it. Figure out a way to put it in there, and you'll be better for it. Trust me.
Exactly. So, in closing today, or as we always say here each
Mhm.
week, if you guys are looking for some help to get started, because it starts with your nutrition, right? If you're not
Everything
eating the
does.
right thing, all this other stuff is going to compound itself.
Mhm.
You got to get the right nutrition. We have made significant changes to our life. We are our
Yep.
high school weight. We will always be this weight the rest of our lives. Now we're working on strength training so we can keep staying as injury
It's
resilient as possible.
possible. And we know it's a part of recovery. It's a part of whether you want to lose weight, you want to lose fat, whatever you want to do with your nutrition. You can't, if you get your nutrition wrong when you run a race, what's going to happen? Your body's going to say, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's a part of our recovery. It's a part of being able to do all this together. So that is the true foundation for health, because it's about being healthy. We know these things are all the keys to longevity, because we want to live, we want to
thrive. Yeah.
Later in life, and you can absolutely do that, but yet it has to be on your own. You have to be working at it. So a lot of times, a lot of people are like, "That's too confusing. How many calories do I eat? How many?" The macros, people talk about that. That's all over the place. There's specific things. If you need that jump start, if you want to know for what you do and what your age is, and what your activity level is, what your calories should be, what your macros should be, like I said, it's a free call. A lot of times people just get hung up. They can't make that first
It's
initial
about getting
thing.
started. It really is.
Yeah.
A lot of times we talk to people, we just got to nudge them a little bit to kind of, and all of a sudden it's like the door opens up and they're like, oh my Lord, right?
Yeah.
So,
but being overwhelmed is the biggest thing that causes inaction. So we don't want anybody to be overwhelmed. And if you're overwhelmed, like I said, give us a call. We can get you moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and just go to runtips.us/call. It's on the bottom of the screen there, runtips.us/call, and we can get you guys started. So with that, have a great Saturday.
Yes, have an awesome Saturday. Sorry, something distracted me in the corner there. So have a great day. Like I said, have a great run if you did. If your run's over with, I hope you had a great run. But have an awesome day, because you deserve it. And we'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys next week, and get out there and enjoy your weekend.